Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm Hillary. I'm going to go through our quick little opening, and then we will let Kara get started on what she has for us today. So thank you for joining us for Tackling Tough Topics. So our schedule, quickly, we'll just go over who Mission West Virginia is. Kara can do her presentation, and then we'll be answering any questions that you might have. So who is Mission West Virginia? Mission West Virginia is leading a statewide effort to promote positive futures for all kids in West Virginia. We work alongside families as they navigate West Virginia's foster care system and provide evidence-based life skills education to help teens envision and create positive futures. As a result of our work putting kids first in collaboration with social services, school districts, private foster care agencies, and other nonprofits, the future looks brighter for West Virginia. If you have any questions or want to learn more about our organization, please visit our website at www.missionwv.org. So we help youth in two different ways, primarily. First is through our Frameworks program, which provides support for those interested in foster care or kinship care to understand the system, find a placement agency, and prepare to make a meaningful difference in the life of a child. If you're interested in learning more about how to become a foster and/or an adopted parent in West Virginia, you're in the right place. So if you'd like to speak with someone on the phone, please call 866-CALL-MWV or 304-512-0555. You can also request an information packet on our website at missionwv.org/request-information. So our second program is the THINK program, which stands for Teaching Health Instead of Nagging Kids. THINK empowers teens to make positive life choices through education, life skills, and coaching. Our program is evidence-based and helps the students we work with navigate the social emotional pressures all teens face as they develop. This includes building healthy relationships and healthy choices around drugs and alcohol and pregnancy prevention. We deliver our program in partnership with schools in 20 counties. We are vetted by district leaders, teachers, and other school leaders who are trained to work with kids. The program's evidence-based curriculum has been shown to have a positive effect on preventing teen pregnancies, sexually transmitted infections, or sexual risk behaviors. Our educators are continually trained on the most up-to-date information on trauma, sexual health, and high-risk behaviors. Our management team does on-site observations of our educators regularly to ensure fidelity is being followed. We also administer pre and post surveys, receive teacher feedback, and hold teen focus groups and site satisfaction surveys. Aside from our classroom education, we also do workshops and trainings. So we know it takes a whole community to help teens envision and create positive futures. So this is why we also provide resources and training to equip parents, families, and the individuals who support kids as they navigate their teen years. Our workshops and trainings include talking to youth about sensitive or hard topics like today's webinar, hidden in plain sight, trauma, sexual assault prevention and consent, teen dating violence, and there's just many, many more things. So we will have social work CEUs today. Please look for more information when you get an email from us later from our white at missionwv.org. Your certificate will come from a third-party site called SimpleCert. If you have registered for this and you're attending right now, then we have your name, we have your information, and you will receive a certificate. Please check your spam folders if you do not receive it next week, because sometimes it goes into the junk mail. But if you do not receive it, please contact us and let us know, and we will be happy to get that out to you. Let's meet our speaker. Kara Nelson chose a career path within the social work field supported by a BSW from West Virginia State University. She's currently an adolescent support coach at Mission West Virginia's THINK program, and she's been a THINK program educator for 10 years. She's also the youth leadership advisor for our local high school students YLC group. She continues to participate in trainings that are relevant to the youth she serves and takes frequent surveys and feedback from the youth to keep resources and curriculum relevant. As a mother to her own, now adult children, she spent many years educating herself to work with youth to promote their unique abilities, to choose healthy relationships, use positive communication skills, and advocate for their mental, physical, and social well-being. Her career path is an extension of the compassion and heart she has to see young people have the best chance to succeed. And with all of that, she is also one of the kindest, most caring humans with the biggest heart you will ever meet. And I'm super, super proud to not only call her a coworker and a colleague, but a friend. So I'm excited for you guys to get to hang out with her today. Hi, Kara.
Thank you,
Also,
Hillary.
I have one more awesome human shout out to make. Hi, Carol Phipps. We're super excited to have you with us. We miss you.
Aw.
That's all. All right, let's get started. Go, Kara.
Okay, can everyone hear me? Okay, I got this new laptop, so I didn't think about that. I'm kind of nervous, but I'm going to share my screen. You guys bear with me. This is my first like live webinar. Okay. Yay, nay.
You're good.
Okay, Hillary, don't leave me out here all alone.
I am not. I have not left you. I am in the
Okay.
dark, but I have not left you. I'm here.
Okay, I do have my chat pulled up. Hillary's going to keep me posted, you guys. If you have any questions or anything, like she said, you can't see my chat, right? Just the PowerPoint. Okay.
Just the PowerPoint. You're good.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. I'm not going to lie. I'm nervous. I'm nervous, guys. Also, I've caught my grandson's little cold, so I'm sorry I sound like a duck or something. I've tried to clear it up as much as possible, but I do apologize that I sound so nasally. I'm going to try to speak as clearly as I can. Um, Thank you guys for trusting me to do this. I am excited, although I'm nervous. I'm going to be honest. I love what we do at Mission West Virginia. I think this is a relevant topic that we need to cover, and we need to cover it with as many parents and as many adults as we can, because the more adults we have that understand how to communicate effectively with our teens, with that population, of course, the more healthy the future generation is going to be, obviously. So let's get started. Maybe. Okay, so as you can see, I'm going to start out with something kind of personal, but it's to do with you guys too. So you're going to use the chat for this part. And Hillary's going to help me out, hopefully. But I wanted you guys to do this instead of kind of an icebreaker, just to kind of reflect, do some self-reflection. This is just something that I did quite a few years ago, actually, when I started my career at Mission West Virginia. So that little tan girl right there, I wish I kept that tan, is me when I was small. And when I was a teenager, I went through a lot of trauma, different kinds of trauma too. And so when I got older and I finally dealt with that trauma in a healthy way, I decided I was going to use my adult life and go back and get my education. And I was going to use that education to serve the population that I was not served in. So I thought back and I was like, what did I need when I was a teenager? And like, where did I fall through the cracks? And how can I maybe go back and get an education and serve little Kara, the part of me that didn't get it wasn't that I didn't get help. I don't want to say that completely, but it was just there were a lot of places where adults kind of could have given me resources, could have advocated for a child, a teenager, and they just chose not to. Or they didn't have the resources, they didn't have the information to. And because of that, a teenager who is still a child, whose brain is not fully developed, um, face consequences that an adult should should have helped them face and make decisions about. So as I had to go through those things on my own, as a teenager, it had a ripple effect, and it just kept causing more and more trauma and more stress. And we all know the effects of stress on the brain, on your physical health, your mental health, everything. So um, we know that as a kid, as a small child, we tend to pay more, I think, pay more attention to, like that little girl right there in that picture. The adults around her probably paid a lot of attention to, made sure she was safe, made sure she made good decisions. But I feel like the teen population, and as our kids get older, we tend to, like, yes, we're supposed to let them go a little bit, but they need just as much care and just as much guidance, just in different ways. So anyways, when I worked through my trauma and I decided to go back and get my education, somebody in one of our classes asked us, "What is your why? Why are you back to school? Why did you come out the other side?" Because we were talking about some things we had been through in our past, and why some people choose a healthy path versus an unhealthy path. And so it might sound selfish, but I thought of myself back then, because that Kara had so much hope and so many plans and goals, and because somebody didn't hand me some resources or kind of walk me through just a few more decisions, or tell me just a few more little information tidbits, my whole life could have changed, and I could have missed some of those really traumatic things that happened to me. So my why is little Kara. So I want to make a difference in teenage or preteen kids' lives, to kind of give back to, because I can't go back and change my life, but I can make a difference in teenagers now. So I'm asking you, what's your why? If you want to put it in the comments, you can. I understand that can be personal, but if just in a general statement, what is your why? Do you know your why? Have you thought about it? Sometimes it's not as personal as that. Sometimes it can be something else that motivates you to attend a webinar like this. I'm aware that webinars are not usually fun. Sometimes we have to attend them. But I just want you to think about your why when you do have to do things. Sometimes I have days where I'm struggling and I don't want to go to work, or I don't want to do whatever I have to do next, or the teens that I'm helping do not want my help and they're being very rude, and I literally have that picture in a lot of places, and I just look at that and I think, that's my why. You're doing this because there's some teenager that is like you, and you're not going to know. I'm not going to know which webinar is going to give me information that I will hand to that teenager that needs that. So anyways, I just wanted to give you guys that information because it literally changed my whole perspective and my motivation. It's kind of my fuel that gets me going when I am sputtered out and burnt out. So just think of that. If you don't want to put it in the chat, you don't have to, but I just wanted to give you that and pass it along. It's something that really helps me. And if you're in the field of social work or counseling, nursing, anything like that, I think we need all the motivation we can get. Okay. I'll let Hillary keep up with the chat. And I'm going to read those later, so save those for me. We're going to move on. Okay, like she said, if you have any questions, I'm going to just keep speaking. I'm not used to speaking to quietness because we speak to teenagers and it's never quiet. So if you have questions, please, 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 say something so that Hillary can get my attention, and I will definitely pause. We went with the football theme. I don't know if you guys can have caught on yet, but we went the football theme to go with the tackling tough topics. Okay, so what's our game plan today? We are going to first talk about what age groups we're talking about, and then just cover communication basics. And just like I tell the teenagers, the things we're going to cover are applicable to adults, to romantic relationships, parent-child relationships, co-worker relationships, that neighbor you have next door that you're struggling with, sibling relationships. Most of the things, the basic things we talk about, honestly, I use with my adult children still. Me and my husband and I, we still use a lot of these techniques. When things, you're busy and you have to reset yourself when you find yourself start arguing. So just know that it's the basics. And then we're going to talk about what teens wish parents understood. There's a couple of different ways I went about that. And then communication techniques, and conflict resolution skills. These are things that we do with the teenagers in the classroom. So if you're interested in what we actually do, teach the teens, these are actually some things that we teach them, but they're, like I said, you can do them as adults too, obviously. And then I'll go over the resources that we have, that are for teens and parents. Check, see if we have any questions real quick. Okay, the key takeaways hopefully we get from today, just develop open communication with your teens. I'm assuming, I understand we have different backgrounds. I've been trying to read through a few. Not everyone's a parent, not everyone's a guardian, or caretaker, probably. Some of us just work with that population, but even if you're a parent, if you work with teens, you're going to meet different personalities. So if you've learned to communicate with your kids a certain way and then you go to work with other teens, you're going to have to learn to communicate differently with those kids. So so develop different communication channels, learn how to create a safe and trusting environment that encourages your teen to open up about difficult topics. Lord have mercy. That's hard. If they don't want to open up about certain things, that can be difficult. So we're going to talk about that. Address sensitive issues with empathy. Empathy has changed my whole perspective on every relationship. So I'm going to talk about empathy a lot. Discover techniques for approaching tough conversations in a way that shows empathy and understanding, reducing defensiveness, and fostering a meaningful dialogue. Defensiveness is hard too. Move my window. Practical strategies for conflict resolution. Gain actionable tips for managing disagreements and resolving conflicts that may arise during these challenging discussions, helping to strengthen your relationship with your teen. So as you can see, like I could have took out the word teen and put spouse or sibling. Like all of these can work in any relationship. Excuse me. Okay, so first, what age groups are we discussing? It can work for anywhere from 12 to 17. Some teens that we teach have already turned 18. But if you're defining it, it's 12 to 17. 12 would be what we call a preteen. But all of these topics, when you start to talk to a kid about drugs and alcohol and sex and stuff like that, is usually around 12 years old, when you really want to start having big discussions about those things. Okay, so these are pretty much your top things that I like to think of as, like, if you go with the football theme, it's when you're off season and you go work out and you stay fit and you keep up your healthy eating habits. So these are the things that we need to be working on um before we worry about really talking to them about anything super serious. um if we if if you don't cater to these things and you don't take care of this part of your relationship, then when you go to speak to them about something that's super serious, or anything you're worried about, or you notice signs of them, their mental health being down, it's difficult to get in there and earn their trust, because if you haven't worked on any of this and then all of a sudden you act concerned or you are concerned, they're going to be like, where were you at during all this time? So, and this isn't to shame anybody or to make you feel like you're way behind. It's just to remind us. And then there are times where, like, I used to not understand what a upstander meant or a bystander. So we're going to go over things like that. And these are all teachable moments, like things that you can point out to your teen. Um, like, hey, I noticed this, or I learned this, or look on that movie. This is an example of something we could talk about. Okay, so let's look at the first one. Show interest in your teen's school and extracurricular activities or interests. Um, that's more than just saying how was school today. And um, just, I think Hillary mentioned it. I always like to let the kids know my background too, but for you guys, I've raised 3 kids. They're all adults now. The last one's in college, so I don't want you guys to think I'm just reading statistics and stuff. I've done these things and I've failed at these things, and I've had to apologize and start over. And um, so when you say things like, how was your day, dear? And they're like, I was good. And you just move on. That's fine. That's perfect. That I'm not saying that's not okay, but try to remember to mix it up a little bit. Like, try to remember a detail, like if they told you there was a test that day, or if they said it was dress up day, or they told you. What's really good is if you can remember something about a relationship. Like if they told you a couple of their friends were arguing or something, if you can ask them about that. So it's just you pointing out that you've been listening, pretty much. Show affection and compliment your teen. They're going to act like they don't want you to, a lot of them. But it's our human brain craves affection, even the loner kids, even the people who say they want to be alone and they don't want touched. And I'm not going to name any names. We have a few people at the office that are like, I don't like physical affection. It's true, and you should ask people before you hug them. But in general, children need to know that they're safe and at home, that they can feel that physical affection of like a hug, a pat on the back, even a fist bump or something that they know they learn, like positive, healthy physical affection, if that makes sense. And then to compliment them, and not always on their, like, your hair looks nice today, or I like your outfit, buddy. It needs to be compliments about all aspects. Excuse me. So try to remember to show affection and compliment your teen often. If you can do that at least once a day, a good way to get in a routine of that is bedtime or in the morning. So we did at bedtime, like we always said, I love you and a hug, good night. So just try to mix it into a routine. Encourage your teen to volunteer and you volunteer. Volunteering does something to your brain and your heart. When you give without anything in return, it teaches so many lessons. It changes your perspective of other people. So try to do that. And then your team, if you volunteer with them or you just speak to them about the importance of volunteering, they're going to see you model that behavior and see how important it is. Listen to them without playing down their concerns. That is one of the big, when I talk to the teenagers, that was one of their big remarks was they just always think I'm whining or I'm complaining or I'm a drama queen or so listen to them, even though it's hard sometimes. When you're get home from work or you haven't slept well and you feel like they're just repeating the same things, just try to genuinely listen because that's their life. Like even if it seems like monotonous or it's not that big of a deal to you, it is to them. That's all they have. That's their little bubble and it's a big deal to them. Create opportunities for them to use their own judgment and be available for advice and support. This is where you start to like let go and give them some responsibility. So you're going to give them ways to start to make their own decisions. Like maybe you don't agree with everything they're choosing to wear, right? So next time we go shopping, I'm sorry. You show me what you would like to buy and what you like, and I'm willing to give on this one, but I don't know about that one this year, maybe next year. Or you like this chore but you don't like this chore. Let's try, you do this one this week, and if you keep that one up, then we might let you slack on that one next week. Like just kind of bargaining with them almost, and then letting them make their own decision if they're going to follow through with things. If they're, if they feel like they're in charge, kind of, they're going to be more responsible, and then if they know you're going to be there if they mess up or if they need advice. Like I'm not sure what I want to do. I thought I knew what I wanted to do, but now I'm confused, Mom. Try to avoid saying I told you so when they come back to ask your advice. Communication with your child about relationships as an ongoing process rather than a one-time conversation. The whole, you hear it a lot on social media, on old TV shows and stuff, we got to have the talk, which usually meant like puberty or sexual education or whatever, but it can't be a one-time conversation. Even if it is about puberty or sex, that has to be an ongoing conversation because it's such a big, all of the topics, drugs and alcohol, who they're going to be friends with, who they're going to hang out with romantically, like all of those things are an ongoing thing in their life. So it can't be a just one and done conversation. We need to constantly be talking to them about what they're thinking. And it can't be a lecture. It has to be a conversation. Like, what do you think about this? What are your friends deciding? All of those things. We'll go in more detail later. Understand your teen's development. That's really helpful if you can look that up, like CDC website, things like that. Our website has articles on teen development, and then you'll kind of know, like physically, where's their brain at. Their development in their brain development, their physical development is going to cater to their emotional well-being too, in some instances, and their decision making. Take a clear stand against disrespect, abuse of power, any form of violence, or any use of abuse. So there's just some things we put our foot down on. So usually communication is open-ended, and where it's back and forth and we can talk about anything, but I will always say put your foot down when it comes to things like that. Consent, we need to be talking about consent when it comes to sexual topics, sorry. But always kind of just, this is black and white. We do not allow abuse or disrespect. Just make it black and white. Learn how to act as a healthy bystander or upstander. In the chat, how many of you guys have had bystander or upstander training? Yay. Awesome. Okay, well, bystander training or being a bystander or upstander is exactly kind of what it says, bystander, if you've heard the term. It's being a bystander. So you can either be a healthy bystander or kind of a crappy, not good one. So a healthy bystander would be someone who I use it a lot in my talks about consent or sexual assault. So if I'm at a fraternity party or any party or anywhere, and I see someone taking another person, up the stairs to a bedroom or somewhere, and I can clearly see that that person is not coherent, like maybe they've been drinking. An unhealthy bystander is going to go, oh, that's none of my business. I'm just going to stay out of that. That's not my business. Or I'm going to put my judgment on and be like, well, they shouldn't have drank so much. So that's kind of their problem. Or their friends will help them out. I don't know them. That would be an unhealthy bystander. Okay. An upstander or a healthy bystander. So they're kind of the same thing. A healthy bystander or an upstander would be me walking over and saying, hey, they don't look very awake. I don't think we should be going upstairs. I don't think they would want to be doing this. Or, hey, let's wait until they're awake before we take them wherever you're going. Or it could be like you go and find their friends, or you make a commotion so that everybody's looking at them. Whatever that is. So being a healthy bystander or upstander means teaching them to speak up and not be disrespectful by just being a bystander and not doing anything. Learn about mental health for yourself and your teen, including suicide prevention and awareness. This is a tough topic. Where I live, there have been multiple teenagers die by suicide lately, and I've heard both sides of the debate. Parents, I understand why it's terrifying. It's terrifying. But you have to talk about it. You have to. Research and evidence, and when I talk to teenagers about it, you asking them if they've thought about suicide is not going to cause them to complete suicide or to start thinking about suicide if they weren't. So that is something you need to, if you're nervous about it, there's countless suicide prevention sites I'm going to share with you that you can get on there until you feel comfortable with it. The more you you can attend webinars like this about it. The more you talk about it, the more you learn about it, the more comfortable you're going to be with talking to your teenager about it, and you'll be prepared for if someone would bring it up to you. Teach, don't just criticize. That's a hard one, especially if you're in a social work teacher position. It's hard to not come home and nag and teach your kids. So try your best to remember, would you want to be criticized? Like if someone was trying to help you or talk to you, nobody wants to be criticized. It's just not fun. Understand the pressure and the risk your teens face. Um, this one, I really honestly, I did not have this job until my youngest child was in high school, and it honestly blew me away when I realized what our teens face right now. So, the amount of pressure they have from social media is, I don't think my brain would not have been able to handle that as a teenager. Some people would have thrived. Some people, just like there's kids now that thrive on it. But there's also kids that just fall away. Their mental health does not do well. So the social media and the constant awareness of world news and scary events and things like that, it's just a lot. They have so many pressures that to add on top of other things, and they also have access to tons of people that don't have their best interests at heart. So look for teachable moments. This one kind of became fun for me. I started to look for teachable moments there. um, but like TV shows, or when they would tell me something about like gossip at school or what was going on with their friends, I'd be like, wow, wonder why they did that. And then next thing you know, they're like explaining something that gives you a chance to tell them, well, how would you have reacted to that? So sorry, I have a dog on a bark. Accentuate the positive and talk about relationships, not just behavior. So this was a big one too. It's, you get kind of stuck on talking about, well, you're acting like this, or I need you to stop doing that, like really, really focusing on things they need to change. Try to get back to your relationship with them, or maybe their relationship with their friends. Like, who are you hanging out with? Like, what made you choose to do that at that time? What made you choose, to, like, let's say we're talking about the topic of having sex too soon, or whatever it is, but what made you and your partner decide to do that without talking about it first, or without choosing to talk about protection, or so try to go back to the relationship aspect, and not just the, I can't believe you did that, like dissing their behavior, like going after their behavior. And then no one's perfect, not your teenager, not you. The mom guilt, the parent guilt, guardian guilt is horrible. And teenagers are really, really good at like making you feel more guilty. um, they tend to I don't even think they mean to sometimes, just let you know, like, you really, really hurt them sometimes, and make you feel even more guilty. But just kind of get yourself back up, dust yourself off, and try again. And the fact that you even feel guilty means you care, because you, if you didn't care, you wouldn't even be trying. Okay, so just try again. Just keep trying again. If you have to, write little tricks down, things you want to do with your teenager to remember, and just keep trying over and over. And the biggest thing that has helped me personally is to remember to apologize. I think we tend to feel like we are stepping down as their parent, and like they're not going to look at us as like authority, which I don't really like that word, but we're stepping down a notch if we apologize. But after talking to teenagers and talking to my kids, as they've grown up, apologizing to them meant so, so much. Um, and it healed like the guilt inside of me. Like it does something. I don't know. It just to apologize and say I have messed up and I was sorry. And you should be sorry that you didn't know. If you didn't know, you didn't know. Or if you did know and you just had a really, really bad day at work and you're just really tired, or you know, just be honest. Just tell them why you messed up or what's going on. Um, Let me check this real quick. Okay. Okay, these are just the bullet points of what I just talked about, but in general. Um, So be honest and direct with your teen when talking about sensitive subjects such as drugs, drinking, smoking, and sex. Don't skip the words. Don't say, when you do say sex, say drugs, say drinking. Ask them what drugs are popular right now. They're going to laugh at you. They're going to be uncomfortable. When I teach, I just tell the kids, I'm like, listen, your parents, your guardians want to talk to you. They want you to feel comfortable with them. But it's awkward. You don't want to think about your little Sally Sue that was in diapers felt like 2 days ago is all of a sudden ready to talk about these things. It's weird. It's uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean that they don't want to be that person for you, that trusted adult. You just got to give your parents, your guardians a second to shake off that like that bomb that just went off in their brain when you say those things. And then parents just remember it's so awkward for them too. They are so scared and so nervous to talk to you. Every class I hear the comment, "Oh, they'll kill me. They will kill me." And I have to tell them, I promise they won't. I promise they won't. So that's something you can do is just constantly tell them, if there's ever a time you have anything to talk about, even if it's nothing major. Like, I would never, ever like disown you or be angry or disappointed in you. I think that's a big, big thing we need to reiterate to our kids constantly. Meet and get to know your teens' friends all the time, everywhere you can. So, my kids, now that they're grown up, thank me for not sending them to just whoever's house they asked me to go to. I've battled with that, but it's key that you know where they're going, who they're with, and if I didn't know, I just couldn't. I just couldn't let them go. So it was a hard um argument sometimes at our house. They didn't understand, but now that they're older and my daughter has children now, she's like, thank you for not just sending me with people. So the way that I came around that was they could come to our house if their parents would allow that. And sometimes we just didn't do sleepovers. Like some parents were like me and didn't want to do sleepovers, so we would just do like bonfires and stuff until really late, and then everybody went home. Or there's ways around it. And then you can go to events at school, like go to ball games and stuff, and just don't be weird, but like you can see who they're hanging out with if you pay attention, and just see how they're interacting. um, I would have. I saw in the chat, yeah. Like this was just a personal thing too, but like you have cell phones now, you should be able to like text at least and say, hey, your daughter's at my house or your son's at my house, or here's my number in case of an emergency, or um I don't know. Especially for the preteen age. For your benefit, I would make contact with the other parent if you're going to have kids over at your house. Help your teen make healthy choices while encouraging them to make their own decisions. So we talked a little bit about that, but just you're slowly kind of pushing them out of the nest a little bit by giving them choices, and then make sure they're healthy choices that you would agree with, of course, and then letting them decide, what out of those choices. And it's important that they know you're listening, and we're going to talk about a listening technique in a second. And when there is a conflict, be clear about goals and expectations. Okay, I'm going to play this video really quick. I know if there's social workers in here, you've seen this a million times, but it really helps with any kind of communication to understand empathy. So remember this when you're talking to your teenagers too, to show empathy. I hope you can hear this when I play it. You guys hear it?
Can hear it. Kira, did you click the thing at the beginning?
Yeah,
Um,
it's okay. We can move on, I guess. I'll put the link. It's really short anyways. I'll post the link. It's Empathy video by Brene Brown.
Love the deer.
Huh? The deer. Yeah.
Yeah, I want a sandwich. That's always me. Want a sandwich?
Yep. Yep.
Try to.
Okay. It really did change how I viewed empathy. Like I thought I understood it, and then I was like, oh, that really explains it better. So empathy is kind of like I said, being able to say I'm sorry to your teenager. Like I'm not going to try to make excuses or try to, act like I know everything. I'm sorry and I love you. Or I care about you and what can we do to make this work? So you're kind of getting down to their level instead of that lecturing, nagging level, and you're saying like genuinely how you really feel usually, which is I care about this relationship and I want to make it work. So you're not giving up discipline or whatever some parents believe. It's actually giving you more, I think, leverage with them when they see that you're being totally honest. At least that's what the teenagers told us, and it worked for me. So what do teenagers wish that you guys understood? This was so eye-opening. I've done it for years with the teens when I have spare time in class. I ask them these things. I ask them what they wish Mission West Virginia knew for classes, and then I also ask them what they wish their parents knew. So these are just a few. We want you to show up and get involved, but not yell and act like a fool. So this one made me laugh at first, but then I go back to when my kids played sports, and I was guilty of this one a few times. And I know there are probably some of you guys that do this. And it's just difficult when it's your kid out there playing sports, or I guess that's what they meant. But I see what we talked about it in class. We talked about all of these, and they're just saying, I see your comment. That's what I was saying. I was like, but I would always be like, go number 11, da da da. And they said it wasn't that. Like they loved that they cheered for them and stuff. It was when their parent was like, where you know better than that, like critiquing them. Like hard on them and they were like, I'm trying, Dad, or, I'm doing my best. I don't need that pressure on me too. Or they were just really, really rude, like yelling at the coaches and stuff. So, that one little girl just was like, uh, they were just constantly telling me, like, did you forget where the basketball rim was? Or da da da. And she was just like, it's so embarrassing. I hate it. So that was eye-opening. Ask us if we need advice or if we just need someone to listen. So my adult daughter still does this. She does it with everyone she talks to. So if someone's upset, she automatically, her first question is, do you want my advice or do you just want me to listen? And I just, every time she does that, I'm like, I love that. And I always forget to do it. Um, so that just think about it. Sometimes we don't want advice. Sometimes we're just venting. So that was a good one, I thought. And then be more of a coach and less controlling. So I asked for some definition of that, and they said not like be our best friend or our buddy or anything, but just be more like encouraging instead of don't. Be more of like, let's do this and you can do it and we're going to get through this, and kind of like on their team, I guess. Like instead of like a referee, be more like the coach. Give me the real reason and not say just because I said so. So, oh, I love that. My son says, I want the therapist, not the mom help. Oh, that's so cute. um, I'm reading the comments, sorry. Oh, um, yeah, so my dad used to say because I said so, and it wore me out too. So I try to not say that. But they said just give me the reason. Like I really want to know why. I'm not being a smart mouth. I really want to know why I can't do something. So just assume that they're not being smart and give them the reason why. Um, I they just said sometimes they feel like their parents say things like that just because they can, and they feel like devalued, kind of like, why can't you just tell me why? Why do you have to just blow me off? Um, speak up for me around relatives. This one really, really hit home for me, and it kind of broke my heart when I realized what this girl meant. It for her it was about boundaries, about touching, and the way they talked about her body and women in general, and her mom understood it and her dad understood it, but the other males in her family had not gotten the memo, I guess, about asking before touching, and um, how you speak about women's bodies and stuff. And it was making her uncomfortable because of a previous traumatic event. And she said that when her mom and dad spoke up and like talked to the rest of the family, that it changed her whole perspective. It made her more comfortable at every family event. So I was like, wow, I never thought about that, because they said they felt, and then other kids started talking about that they kind of feel like they're left out there alone if it's like them against the whole family unit, if only one parent is kind of on their side. So I thought that was a different perspective I hadn't heard. I like that. My kids said that I asked too many questions, so I now try to say, help me say yes, so that they give me details they know I'm looking for. That's cool. Sorry. I get distracted while reading your comments. Okay, this little video was just some other teens from YouTube talking about kind of what our kids said up here. So I'll just read some more of these. Tell me if you make a mistake, I would forgive you. So that was kind of going off the where I was telling you guys to remember to say you're sorry. Um, this kid was just like, I've never heard my dad say I love you or I'm sorry. And the mom in me was choking, trying not to cry. Um, so, and then there were lots of kids in that class that said they'd never heard their parents say, I love you. I need your advice, but most of the time you seem too busy or too tired. So, one of the students I was talking to about a week ago, and it was actually over something very serious, said, I was talking about how she was going to approach her mom, and I mean, this was a life-changing thing she was going to talk to her about, and she said, honestly, I don't know if I can get her to look up from her phone long enough. And we're all guilty of that. I know we all are, but just try to remember that. Like, um, just like when you see a toddler and the parents aren't paying attention and they're on their phone or watching TV or something, do your best to put your devices away and actually like look eye to eye when we're talking to each other. I'm not just moody. Sometimes I am trying to let you know that I'm stressed or sad. Um, a lot of the girls felt that way because of their periods and hormones and things, but the boys too. The boys go through a lot of hormonal changes during puberty and the later parts of puberty in their high school years too. So try to pay attention to their behavior when it comes to that. I may not have the same values or beliefs as you, but I still love you. They were talking about uh, they felt like they didn't that their parents don't realize like they're just a couple years from becoming their own adult, and like they felt like they're not allowed to even become a separate human with their own thoughts and beliefs and values, and they felt like they wouldn't be loved completely if they told their parent like, hey, I think I believe something different, or I'm not what you think I am, or whatever. But they said, no matter what, even though I believe something different than you, I still love you 100%. But I feel like if I told you 100% of what I think, I feel like you wouldn't love me completely. So some of these were hard to hear. The two in the black box right there. Oh, sorry. I'm proud of you when you try hard things or new things. I told them what the webinar was about and stuff, and they were like, I would be so proud of my parent if they tried anything like that, like watched a webinar or tried any of our things that we do in class. So I thought that was cool. And then we want to trust you and be able to talk to you about anything. So I hear that all the time when we talk about when they say, oh, my parents would kill me if I try to talk to them about sex or peer pressure. Um, there's always some of them that are like, I have the best parent that lets me talk about anything. And then there'll be that kid that'll be like, gosh, I wish I could trust my parent and talk to them about anything. Okay, communication skills, real quick. Hillary, how am I on time?
You got 30 minutes. You're good.
Okay, yay. Okay, so this is something we do with the kids, and this is the one that I always recommend for people that are struggling with communication, and it is the most awkward thing in the world when you first start doing it. If anything, if nothing else, you'll laugh when you start doing it. So if you're arguing, you laugh at yourselves because it's so awkward, weird. When we do it with the kids, we just do role plays where, like, I'll throw a problem at them and they'll act it out how they would normally argue about it. And then I tell them to try this. And then they start laughing and acting funny. So, uh, let's say they always do the curfew one. So let's do the curfew. So I am, let's say I'm Kara, and I want my curfew to be midnight like everyone else. I know. Um, and my curfew is 10 o'clock. Okay. So when you're doing a speaker listener technique, there's a problem, right? Um, so you're going to come to that person and you're going to say, as the speaker, you're going to speak for yourself and express your feelings and thoughts using I statements. You're going to be brief, really short. Don't go on and on. Don't do what we usually do and just ramble. And you're going to stop as soon as you do that and let the listener go. So the listener then is going to paraphrase. So they're kind of going to take what you told them and put it in their own words, and then they're going to say it back to them, and then and then it just flip flops. So it's just really awkward. Okay, focus on the speaker's message. Don't be ready to like argue back. Don't be ready for your rebuttal. Your job as the listener is to literally listen. And I know that sounds so like simple and like, is she making fun of us? But we don't listen. We really don't. Most of the time, when someone's talking or complaining or upset with us, we go straight into defense mode. Like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe they're saying that right now. I can't wait till he shuts up. I'm going to say this, and this. And I remember when da 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 da, and I'm going to bring that up, and da da da. We internally, our wheels are already turning. So, what speaker listener does is because it's brief and you go back and forth and you're intentional about listening, you actually hear that what they're saying isn't that big of a deal, or it isn't that crazy of a request, and it kind of stops it in its track and it gets solved and it's over. It's really crazy. Okay. So kid comes home. Usually this is how it would go. Kid comes home, you're late again. Where have you been? Oh my gosh, I'm only 30 minutes late. Everybody else gets to stay out past blah blah blah. Well, you know what? I ain't everybody else's mom. I'm so embarrassed. Everybody else makes fun of me. You go to your room right now. You're grounded. Stomp, 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 slams the door. Grounded, upstairs, texting away at everybody how much they hate their life. Nothing's resolved. Okay. So, speaker listener, try it when you're not mad, not when you're late for a curfew. And you go to that person. So, I would go to my parent and say, listen, I am upset about my curfew being different than everyone else's, and it makes me embarrassed. And then you stop. I'm brief. I use the I statement. I let them know how it made me feel. Okay. And then the listener is going to paraphrase. So the mom in that person's probably like, you're embarrassed. I don't care if you're embarrassed. You're going to be home and safe. But using this, they're going to say, I hear that you're embarrassed because you have to come home when everybody else is still out and socializing. I understand that. That would be embarrassing. What do you think we could do? What are you suggesting? And then you just go back and forth, and you might not come to a solution. But do you see how that like brought it down, and we're not automatically angry, we're not automatically arguing. um, you might come to a compromise where you let them give them 15 minutes or something like that. But the fact that you do the speaker listener and you learn to be brief and go back and forth, and if you're teaching that, if you're modeling that, you're teaching it to your kid, which is monumental if you could teach that to them now, because they're going to hopefully use that in all of their relationships, at work, with their partners. They'll be such a good partner in the future. They'll use that with their children. So I would love for parents to learn how to use speaker listener with their children. Um, okay. These are two other things that I teach in our communication lesson is for the ways that we complain, we don't realize sometimes that we're doing it. If you can catch yourself doing these and stop doing it or lessen doing those, mind reading, when we say things like, you did that because da 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 da. Or you can't, like, for instance, the curfew thing. You came home late because you knew I would be waiting up for you. And, or you left the dishes in the sink because you knew it was, so and so was coming over today and you knew, we were fighting or whatever. Mind reading. Just, you can't read people's minds, number one. And they can't read your mind, number two. So, I can't say, to my husband, like, you should have known that I didn't like that. If I don't tell him, my expectations or my boundaries or anything like that, then I cannot be upset. If I did not communicate them, then I cannot be upset. If you don't tell your teenager, these are our expectations, these are our boundaries, you cannot be upset. Name calling. That's an obvious one, right? Don't call names. We're not in kindergarten anymore. You always and you never. So make sure that's a big one that I cut out that I didn't realize I was doing all the time is you always and you never. So try to cut out those because it's not true. That's a false. Okay. So try to remember that's impossible. You can't always forget to take out the trash and you never tell me you love me. That's probably a lie. Okay. I'm getting some messages. Hold on for a second. I'll let Hillary tell me what we're doing in a second. Soften. Oh, shoot.
No,
So-
apparently we did advertise from 2 to 3 o'clock, and normally it's 2 to 3:30, and I didn't realize. So
Okay.
I've told you wrong. I'm so sorry. But if anybody can hang on till 3:30, we will fix it, and we will fix your CEU certificate for 1.5. Sorry.
You want me to keep going?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, sorry everybody. So the other one is soften your startup. So there's different ways that people I guess title this. I've heard it titled different things, but just start with something positive. Don't come right out the gate like, angry. Express appreciation for something like, thank you so much for coming to talk to me about this. I know you're busy, or I don't know, just give them a compliment. Focus on one problem at a time. Don't back up and bring up everything that they've ever done wrong. There's one called kitchen sink. I feel like I did that a lot in my younger years. Like, I would bring up one complaint and then just unload everything that my poor husband had ever done wrong. So when you bring up something with your teenager, you didn't do your chores again, or, your grade is slacking again here, don't say something like, you never do what I ask you to do, or, come right out of the gate like, you're so lazy, we're going to get this, da, 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 da. You have to be intentional and come out of the gate with like, I'm so proud of you for, sitting down and talking to me about this, and bringing your books down here so we can get started on it right away. Just try to really, really look for anything you can grab a hold of to build them up a little bit, okay? And then start the message with I instead of you. You'd be surprised how many times we say things like, you always, you never, and we push everything on them. Try to turn it around and start with I statements, okay? Does anybody have any questions about those techniques while we're in this part? I'm sure a lot of you probably have already heard some of these. you can look a lot of the communication skills, you can look a lot of those up online. It's amazing just incorporating a few of those at a time and getting in the habit of them. Like when I started learning to not say you always or you never, you wouldn't believe how many times you say that in an argument or in a complaint until you try to quit saying it. Okay. Okay, conflict resolution. I love the way that we do this in class. I love it so much that I do it everywhere else. So conflict resolution. Let's use the curfew for example. Okay, so in class we get a big piece of white paper or the dry erase board. You can sit down with your teenager and do it on a piece of paper, however you want to do it. So you have a problem. Okay, let's say it's the curfew. The kid doesn't like the curfew and they came home late. Okay. When you're not upset, so the next day or whatever, before the weekend, you're going to sit down and say, this is the curfew. You don't like it. You have to have a curfew. So we have a problem. Okay. There's the problem. Now you and the teenager, remember we said that if you give the teenager choices and they feel like they're in the decision-making process, then they're more apt to feel like you care about them. They're more likely to start to talk to you more. It's going to be easier for you to talk to them about really big topics if you're talking to them about these things and letting them help make decisions. So this is one of those things that you could do. So you're going to say, hey, I think I want to work with you to maybe increase your curfew. Okay. You can decide. It could be anything, but we're going to go with this. So let's say it's 10 and I don't want to go to midnight, but I'll go to 11. So it's pretty much a negotiation. So I'll go to 11 if, and then you bargain with them. Think of 2 or 3 solutions. So if you can honor your commitment to help me pick up your siblings after school for 3 weeks without being late safely, then we'll do the curfew increase. If you can't do that, if you fail at that, then I'll give you a second chance. The second one would be that you get your grade B to an A or C to a B by next 9 weeks. So it would be a little bit bigger goal. If you do that, then we will increase the curfew to 11. So you do 2 or 3 of those, and then you give them a time frame. So there's time frame defined with, you write it down, you put the goals, you put the time frame, and you both sign it. Okay. Sounds silly, but I love this because it's all right there in black and white. Okay. And then when that 2 weeks is up, if that kid, went and picked up their siblings safely on time, circle it, happy face, whatever you want to do. You did it. You get your curfew increased to 11. I'm proud of you. Way to go. Yay. If they messed up, if they made a mistake, we're going to give them the second chance. The brainstorm idea number 2, which was you have until next 9 weeks to get your grade picked up. And if you do that, then I'm going to increase your curfew. So they get to redeem themselves. They get another try. And it shows that you're still working with them. It gives them another chance to kind of keep that communication open. It's not a one and done. So I just love this. The kids do so good at this model. I give them all kinds of ideas and problems, and they come up with the best solutions. It's so fun. So you could do this at home, I'm telling you. They might laugh at first and act like you're silly, but they get into it. They really do in class. You can do this with anything, literally anything with anybody. It's just a negotiation pretty much. Okay, these are our resources for you and your teen. If you don't know, we have an app. We are still changing some things because I changed my role from educator to adolescent support coach, from educator to that. So they're going to add me to that app. It's just a little bit confusing, but you can still get on there and get the crisis information, which is some of these. But if you go on the app or the website, which is on that little cell phone right there, missionwestvirginia.org, you can go to the Think section, and there's a parent resource section and a student resource section. And I'm telling you guys, there is everything you can think of. This purple phone in the middle is just a small little section that I took out and put on here. Anything you can think of that you may need a resource for is on there. We also have, I was just really proud when I went on there and looked, because I hadn't looked in a while because I've been busy, and it's our website, so I don't know why I didn't think to go just scrolling on our own site, but I was really proud. We have just really, like, thinking back as a parent of a middle schooler, I would have just been all in there, like reading all of that, so I'd have all that information. If you know anyone who has a preteen, I would highly, highly recommend you send them that link. Tell them to go to the Think section, scroll down to parent resources or even the teen resources, and read all those little articles. They're so colorful. I'm really, really proud of them. And then you could also show them where these resources are, the crisis hotlines and things. Just everything they need is just right there. And I wish I had had all those before I became a parent of a teenager. And then I hope everyone knows the new suicide prevention crisis hotline, is 988. So now kids don't have to remember, or anyone doesn't have to remember that longer number. It's just 988, and you can text or call them. It's 24/7. Sorry, I went backwards. Okay, I'm going to end on this. I can get that little box out of the way. Okay, teenagers want guidance from us parents on matters of the heart and healthy relationships. This craving for authentic connection is an often overlooked aspect of parenting. The notion that a single pivotal talk will suffice is a common misconception. Establishing a foundation of open communication and trust is key. It invites your child to view you as a safe haven. I think that's like the key word. For their questions and concerns. Honesty is a vital component, and it's okay to admit when you don't have all the answers. I tell the kids all the time, we do anonymous questions. Woohoo. They have some doozies sometimes, and we usually take them home and read through them and then come back and answer them. But there's even sometimes when I do that where I'm like, I do not know the answer to this one, even though I've been doing this for almost 10 years. And I'll tell them, like, you can ask me anything. If I don't know it, I will know it by tomorrow, because I will find somebody who does know it. So tell your kids, be like, I'm sorry, I don't know it, but I'm going to find out the answer. And remember, just, you're going to make mistakes. Just be honest with them. Okay. Emphasize the importance of values such as trust, respect, empathy, and kindness, which form the very fabric of a healthy relationship. Guys, that is lacking really, really bad in our school system. There are just a lot of kids that aren't being taught that in their homes, I think, or it's just lacking. I don't know for sure where it's coming from, but we need more kids to be taught empathy and kindness for the kids that aren't being shown that at home. I just really, really wanted to mention that. There's also the importance of setting boundaries and expectations. Don't forget that. Yes, you're going to love love them to pieces and teach them empathy. But we also have to have boundaries and expectations, and they want boundaries. They're going to tell you they don't, but they do. They need boundaries and they want them. Implementing rules and curfews may seem stingent, but they instill a sense of responsibility. It's a chance to educate on the significance of respectful communication and appropriate behavior. Sees everyday opportunities to engage in conversations about sex and relationships. Use media, use social media, use songs, guys. There's so many songs that mention things like that, where you can say like, well, what does that mean? And play dumb, and then let them tell you what it means, and then say, what do you think about that? Do you think that's appropriate? Or how do you feel about that if your little sister heard that? Or da da da. Just bring it up however you can. Let's see. Communication is a powerful tool to help teens discern between healthy and unhealthy dynamics. Every chance you get, point out both. Point out healthy role models and unhealthy role models. At home, on TV, anywhere. Help youth articulate the qualities they admire in potential partners and relationships, promoting a thoughtful approach to their choices. Discussing positive role models can offer a practical glimpse into mature, wholesome relationships. Ultimately, it's about empowering your teen to feel proud of themselves and of their choices, and comfortable introducing their friends and significant others to you. So think about that. Were you proud of your family? Were you like confident that if you took somebody home that you weren't going to be embarrassed, and that you knew that your parent would be like kind and welcoming? And yeah, they might crack some dad jokes, or they might, be a little bit embarrassing, but not embarrassing in the way that you wouldn't feel welcome, or you wouldn't feel like you could talk to them when you got home. Remember, these conversations aren't just casual exchanges. They leave a lasting impact by creating a safe space for your teen to talk. Every single conversation leads to something, even if it's small. All those little small ones lead up to them trusting you to talk about the big things. Parental responsibility can be daunting. My, oh my, it is. But equipping yourself with knowledge and adopting an insightful approach goes a long way in shaping your teen's journey. You can do it. Thank you for your time. I'm sorry we went over, but I think I might have ended a little bit early. I tried to hurry there at the end, but there's little old me and old me. So thank you all for helping me do part of my why today. So if you have any questions, you can email me at cnelson@missionwestvirginia.org, or throw them in that chat. I think we can keep the chat maybe, or print it or something. But hey, I'm done and I did it. I'm proud
You
of
did
me.
a great job. Thank you. And guys, again, I apologize. That was my fault, my misunderstanding. And I related to Kara that she had until 3:30. Multiple times. I forgot that this one was scheduled just 2 to 3. So I'm sorry. Apologize for
It's
that. I hate that
it's
if anybody had
okay.
to log off, but um also remember I posted the link to the survey a couple of times. If you could click on that, the PowerPoint will be mailed out. And again, remember, look for your certificate of attendance and CEU certificate from Simple Cert. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody. Thank you, Kara. You did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'll read the chat now.